Ladies and gentlemen, pros and noobs, it is time to begin the International. It is the biggest and the 7th installment of the International, where Dota fans, Dota players, and Dota noobs, myself included, I'm going to be your host, Machine, here for the group stage, and I'm just thoroughly excited to be picking the brains of some Dota professionals. This is going to be a whirlwind adventure. The group stages are structured a little different this time. We'll be talking all through it, but first, I think it is time for introductions. First up, we have the Dota Gym Daddy, an all-round professional bodybuilder in the making. It is Will, it is Blitz. Dude, a bit of a surprise addition to the sofa, but how are you doing?
Last second. My thinly veiled attempts at getting here, at making content, have paid off.
I mean, yeah, so, of course, for those that are unaware, normally at the coaching duties of Planet Odd, currently, of course, not present at TI, so we get to have your butt on the sofa.
Lucky me and you lucky.
Lucky us, yeah, absolutely, dude. But how did that work? That must have been a last-minute phone call. Just like, what, 30 minutes?
It was like, literally last night, I was just told, like, get here, and I was like,
get to Seattle. Now, someone that had a bit more of a chance is, of course, Quincy, none other than the cool, calm, and collected analyst on the sofa. Dude, great to have you here. I know Reddit are ecstatic to have you here on the sofa.
Yeah, a little bit of pushback, you know, some clips, some maybe questionable behavior that they're not a fan of, but I think Dota is a game that definitely riles up emotions. You know, it gets you excited, it gets you angry, which is also, you know, why it can be so great. But you know, it's a work in progress, and I am definitely ready to watch and talk about TI.
And I just can't wait to get to pick your brain as well. I mean, I think we can all agree that if someone had the lowlights of us playing Dota, it would probably be pretty scary as well. Pycat on the end, we managed to get a Swedish supermodel as well, just to come and take time out of his busy schedule to talk about some video games. Dude, how you feeling?
I'm good. I'm feeling good. I'm excited to watch some TI, watch some Dota.
I mean, this is kind of crazy, right? I mean, when you think about it, 23 million, bigger than ever before, 18 teams. We haven't really seen that before. I know you were kind of thinking about it. Not really haven't seen 18 teams at TI.
Yeah, I mean, the difference now is that the last team, I mean, now we're going to have 18 teams playing in the group stage. Yeah. And the teams that get knocked out, they're going to actually have an impact in how the group stages go. There could be that they beat some team and they don't make it into the upper bracket or the lower bracket. So these, regardless of their finish, if they finish last, they will actually have an impact on the group stage, or they could have.
And you've kind of touched on it already, but two teams will not make the gorgeous Key Arena. They won't get a chance. They'll be forced to watch from the stands and will not get to walk out to that adoring crowd and, of course, that infamous arena. With that said, though, for those of you that want to get involved, as we are here, you can do so on social media. These are the ways in which you can do so. One of the avenues I know Valve are big fans of is Twitter. All of your feedback thrown towards @Dota2 and the hashtag TI7. 7 now. Time does fly. Outside of that, Facebook as well, just hit us with a /Dota2, nice and easy, and on Instagram for pictures of puppies. That's right, it's no secret. Dota2 TI is where you can go ahead and pick that one up. All of that, though, if you are watching, it's just nice and easy. Twitch.tv/Dota2TI. That is the URL you can throw at your friends, your mum, your pets, whoever. Tell them to come and join us as we're about to embark on another Dota 2 adventure. And I mean, talking about this adventure, we have to kind of show them the groups, boys. 2 groups of 9 is how this one's going to be going down, and already Pycat's kind of hinted at it as to how this is going to go down. You can see them behind us. I think the first question has to be, you know, is there a clear kind of toppled group? Is there one that you think looks harder than the other, Will?
I would say Group A has a lot of the favorites for me.
Okay.
2 out of the top 3 in my predictions would be EG and Liquid, who are both prominently featured in that group, as well as some really strong underdogs there. You've got TNC, who could really make a splash, Fnatic, who's very unpredictable, as well as LGD. I mean, this group just completely stands out for me.
No, I know, Pycat, your eyebrows may be raised there, because I think you were kind of confused by the way that the invited teams were split between the 2 groups.
Yeah, we had some talks about this. It's like there are 4 invited teams in Group B. Yeah. It's, is it OG, then there's Newbie, VP, and what was the last one? IG, right. So there's actually 4 invited teams in one group. So one could argue that you know, they have more invited teams, and that might be strange. But as it looks now, I think LGD looks pretty strong. Yeah. So I could see why they did this, but I don't necessarily feel that either group is stronger. It's really difficult to tell, like, in advance. I feel like those teams, this LGD and like VP and who else is it? Newbie. You don't really know how they're gonna do. I mean, VP are kind of, a lot of people think they're gonna do really well, but then, you know, it's TI and
it is TI.
anything can really happen.
Where do you stand on that discussion, Quinn, in terms of like, how much do you think the results leading up to TI are going to have, an impact on not only your judgment, but also player performance?
I think results, they matter, but you don't want to be too in the spotlight, right? Like sort of the example everyone uses is OG last year, just absolutely dominant, and they come in and, have a pretty underwhelming, performance. So I think it's about like staying flexible, like being able to like mix things up, while you're winning, like continue to adapt even while having success. Because whenever you're winning, it's very hard to change your play style or, adapt because you're like, oh, we're winning. What we have is currently good. Other teams are the ones in the hot seat, but you can't just, stay stagnant even while you're winning because teams will catch up. They'll figure you out. It's a long event.
And I mean, we are talking kind of, you've hinted at them already, a team, OG, a team that have never had major issues, pun absolutely intended, but haven't managed to get that Aegis. I mean, what do you make of OG? I mean, is this the chance for them? Is this kind of all or nothing now, Will, for OG?
I don't think so, but I think this year they have a bit of a better chance than they did last year. I feel like last year there was a lot more of a spotlight on them, and I feel like that scares a lot of teams. When it's one of your first internationals, especially with, they had Miracle playing his first TI.
Yeah.
Throughout the year, he was shining, dimmed out a little bit at the main event, but, you get some experience under your belt. You understand more about your team. You have a better idea of how you want to approach things. I think it helps.
Yeah, I actually semi-jokingly talked to Matt about the coach of OG, like last year before TI, when we were at the major, Manila major, was it? That was the one before. And I said that, it's like winning this event, and then they also had won the ESL Frankfurt one.
Yeah.
It's like, that's scary to do right before a TI. Just
How
you win those events. I think it is. It's like when you win these last events leading up to TI, I feel like it puts you in a state, like, first of all, like you said, people are going to look at you a lot. Everyone's going to target you. Everyone's going to think, this is the team to beat. How do we figure these guys out? And also, you get into this, if you end up feeling like, well, we're really good right now, If you feel too confident, then things might not go your way.
I just want to kind of explore this just for a moment now, Quinn, with you, in terms of teams looking at you. Surely, when this is the tournament every year, everyone wanting to go ahead and make that life-changing money and, of course, all that pride and prestige, surely they're looking at everyone.
Yeah, I think, teams you definitely prepare for everyone, but it's, you know what heroes people are generally going to pick, their openers, things like that, but it's hard to, have stuff prepped, like, for the heroes you're going to pick against certain teams, or how you want to play against their play style. You can do that for a few teams, at the start, your maybe first couple of matches. And as the event, you prep for the teams, the main stage you're going to play. But, going into the group stage, some of these lesser known teams, it's hard to, figure out a play style you want against theirs. So necessarily, some of their heroes, but you don't really know their play style super well a lot of times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll talk about lesser-known teams in a moment, but I think just let's kind of get some real concrete discussion surrounding, the invited, or at least the favorites in everyone's eyes. I know a lot of people are discussing Liquid and getting to see kind of Kuroki guide his mentor to lifting that trophy. I mean, looking at you now, Pycat, do you think that this is their chance?
Well, the garbage man, he could definitely do it this year. The one thing that speaks against it is that they just won the DreamHack tournament, like I said.
Yeah.
But I actually do. I've heard some inside information about Liquid. We're apparently doing really well right now, and I think that they are definitely one of the top 3, like in my book, to go really far.
How would you describe, Quinn, how would you describe Liquid to someone that hadn't seen too much of their style of play? I know everyone just seems to regard them as a bunch of incredibly talented, humble individuals.
Yeah, I think the team, sort of their concept is Kuroki, a very old school, very knowledgeable player about Dota with, like you said, 4 younger players, super talented, and, all willing to learn, willing to follow his, his captaining, which is what a lot of times is the optimal setup. You want, 1 or 2 voices, people with strong opinions, and you follow those ideas about Dota. It's like a very good way to play the game. You don't have, too many cooks in the kitchen.
Well, I mean, we have a kind of a cook who's no stranger to the kitchen next to you. I saw you were nodding when you was discussing the fact of having 1, if not 2 voices. The rest are kind of willing to be molded, willing to kind of take someone else's ideas surrounding the game. Will, do you think that's the optimum setup? If we look at towards OG, you've got the kind of the backbones of Fly, No-Tail, Mad as well. Those are the voices filling the team.
Yeah, for sure. And the key here is that you just have this strong presence in your captain. You have a guy like Fly who's been around, He's just a strong leader. You respect everything that he says. Kuro, in that regard, last year, I remember how it was. It was these guys looked to him for strength when they were nervous, and they were nervous last year. That was our issue. Is he came into this tournament a little bit scared as well, but this year I think for the most part they've gotten over that.
Yeah, and of course, you know, I'd be foolish not to mention the likes of EG. We haven't spoken too much about them and what they're going to be up to in this one. Quinn, I mean, everyone is expecting big things. Getting to see, you know, cool, calm, collected. Damn it, wasn't necessarily meant this time. But of course, getting to see Sumail doing his thing again on that stage. And what do you make of them?
Yeah, I think, you know, Sumail in particular, he's a player that, you know, people sort of wonder, why is his, you know, MMR so low, and, you know, things like that. But you look at, you know, you look at his performance in these big tournaments, and he always shows up. He's a player that never really falls flat on, you know, whatever the spotlight is on him. He always shines in it. He always does super well. The rest of EG, you know, obviously very accomplished, very respected players. And like you said, I think they are expected to do very well. And it's a team that they're all, you know, sort of friends. It is sort of, you know, that similar setup of, you know, they have, you know, Crit that has, you know, strong ideas about Dota, and they sort of follow that. But I think they're a team that has a lot of camaraderie, more than, you know, maybe other teams. You know, they all just sort of, you know, they're the boys. The boys.
What's your read on EG, Pycat? You know, this is a team that I think consistent is a word that's going to be thrown around an awful lot. Even undergoing roster changes, they seem to come out head above water.
Well, I think EG are probably one of the teams with the highest skill cap, one of the highest individually skilled teams. One could argue it's them, I guess Liquid, and to some extent VP. I don't know if you guys agree on that, but I think so. And my only question is if this camaraderie thing is going to work out in the end, because it can be tough. I feel like if you don't have this strong leader, we have seen them. There were a few tournaments this year where they kind of didn't do as well as people would have thought. So my question is, if they're gonna have, are they gonna have everything figured out for this TI? Like, do they know what they're doing this TI? Do they know who to follow if things go south? Like, what are they gonna do? If they start losing games in, I don't know, group stage, if they end up in some lower bracket, will they feel calm still, or will they kind of, will that be a problem for them?
I mean, what do we make, just final question surrounding EG, what do we make of this, their leniency towards playing more Chinese Dota tournaments than perhaps other Western opportunities? I mean, what do we think about that? Is that them acknowledging they think that Chinese Dota is more challenging? Well,
I think for the most part, when I asked them about that, because that was something I brought up, I was like, it seems like you guys go abroad a lot, and they just said that they like the environment. It's a little bit of a switch. If you just play in your region, you don't really get to experience the flavor of other ones.
Sure.
And that was part of the problem with previous teams, where you would just stay in your region, you'd only get to experience that. But I think, especially with Wings coming to America last year to exclusively play the NA scene, they kind of got the best of both worlds. They were prepared in that way.
We know it worked out for them as well.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we won't get to see them. We won't get to see Wings have a chance to defend their title. It's not one of the first times we haven't had that returning champion to try and keep the Aegis under their control. Now, we did talk a little bit about VP. And I think this is a team that a lot of people were very excited about. My first foray into Dota was, of course, Boston. Everyone was on that VP hype train. Pycat, do they still play the CIS Dota? Are they up in your face, quick start, snowballing the game out of control? Is that still the VP that we expect to see at TI?
I think their style of CIS Dota is a more refined one. I think the old CIS Dota was kind of, you actually just ran at people and you kind of threw bodies and you traded kills like there's no tomorrow.
Sure.
But these guys, they have it's a more strategic approach where they actually, they're fine with, they get a few kills, they get a little bit ahead, because VP always want to be ahead from lane stage. They want to win at least 2 lanes, and then they just want to keep pressuring you. They get a little bit ahead, and then they keep pushing that advantage. Little by little, they kind of choke you out, you know? That's how they play. They like staying ahead, and they like to kind of slowly just make the game tougher and tougher for you, and use the advantage they get in the early game to kind of close out the game. So the idea is kind of similar, it's just that they don't, they have a much higher level of execution, which leads to them being able to win many of these games.
Now Blitz, of course, when you're sitting with the coaching hat on, I'm sure you're familiar with a lot of that Virtus Pro style. What is the kryptonite to that? What is something that you've identified that is, you know, if you were looking for the Achilles heel of that style of play, is that something that you managed to identify?
Yeah, when we played them at, I think it was Genting, ESL Genting.
Okay.
We knocked them out in the semifinals, and what we realized about this team is you have to be extremely patient and calm. Like these guys, sometimes they will overdo it. They're going to run at you a little bit too hard.
Sure.
They'll forget. And when we picked heavy team fight and we just kept calm and we realized like, okay, they can't take fights anymore. They really fall off. At the same time though, like Pycat said, sometimes they can just overrun you. And I feel like their style for TI is perfectly suited because a lot of these teams are going to feel this pressure. You get behind a few kills, you start to forget some of your basics, and you just start to panic.
Yeah, and that is a big question. I mean, you know, let's just start with you then, Pycat. Do you play differently at TI? That's the big question.
Yes.
100%.
You definitely do. I think it's always been like that. It always goes back to, I mean, back in the days we used to see when people went to TI, everyone started picking Morphling and Anti-Mage. Everyone started picking Tidehunter, Enigma, all these heroes that kind of win you the game one way or another. Enigma with the BKB, you know, Tide Ravages, this late game Anti-Mage Morphling. It's like when people play at this tournament, you tend to go towards the more safer things. And this was, when I was coaching DC last year, this was one thing that we actually managed to use to our advantage, and which I think led to us going far, was that we got to a point where we were kind of happy as a team. Everyone was trying to play to win. And when you actually play to win instead of going for these defensive heroes, when people are playing just not to lose, you become more scary as a team. When you can actually play to win in a tournament like this, when you let go of your thoughts, when you stop thinking about that it's TI, when you actually just play Dota, then you can play at a very different level, I think.
Oh, now that's very interesting. So you're almost expecting everyone else to play different in TI. You're forcing yourself to play kind of as similar as possible, if not more aggressive.
Yeah,
Is that
exactly.
something you've considered there, Quinn, that like players are going to play differently and that's just accepted across the board, that people are going to have some fear in them?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think it's the biggest stage in Dota, and it's sort of a example is people will almost never GG out in TI games. They'll wait until the throne dies. They'll play until the very last, even if it's basically a hopeless game. I think sort of back to VP. I think one of the things about them that we always sort of think of Russian Dota in this very run at you style. They're very aggressive all the time, and I think they do play that style. But I think something that VP have shown at the summit, especially, was that they're not just constricted to that play style. They can do a lot of other things. They play a lot of different heroes, and I think going into this event, maybe not they're doing a similar thing, not to that caliber as they did to the summit, where they just never pick the same hero. But I think from what I've heard, they're playing heroes. They're coming into drafts with pre-decided heroes almost.
Okay.
Pre-formed drafts. They use very little reserve time, and they sort of have an idea of how they want to play the game before they go into it. So I think like VP is very confident going into this tournament. I think just as a team, as players, they're super confident, and maybe the cockiest team.
And they do fit the profile that we outlined earlier, right? Surrounding like a kind of solo, that voice, and having the young blood such as No One and Ramsey's just kind of running around and playing some really, really good Dota. Let's head over to the Chinese region for a second then, because Newbie was a name that was thrown around and we haven't really explored too much. But for those that are unfamiliar with Newbie, Will, how would you set the scene? How would you, in that team huddle, say, this is what we have to expect from Newbie?
They're incredibly stable. We played them right before the TI qualifiers at Galaxy Battle.
Okay.
We played them in 2 different series, and all I realized is this is the most patient team alive. Like
Define.
So to get into some Dota here, the way that we would play is we would shove in the lanes and we try to get as much map control as possible.
Sure.
And oftentimes what ends up happening in the response is a team will panic and they'll try to break out of their base. They'll take a sloppy smoke or a fight, and then we would just capitalize. The game would be over. We'd run them over. With Newbie, we would get like a 10K lead. They would never leave their base. They were just stuck in there. They didn't care what was going on. They didn't care that they were behind. They realized these guys eventually are going to make a mistake. Let's just wait for them to kind of impale themselves.
And did you make a mistake?
Several times. We got 3-0'd in that series real bad.
Oh,
but
no.
in each of those games, we were up 10K.
Yeah.
I was thinking to myself as a coach, you see 10K, that's the magic number. You think to yourself, the game's over.
Right.
Nope. Newbie, they're going to sit in their base. They're going to be patient, more patient than anyone we met at that tournament.
And you just said that people don't GG out, right? So Newbie are going to be playing to the bittersweet end.
Yeah, for sure. I think, Newbie, even if you look at their statistics, sort of like Blitz said about the patient, they're a team that takes towers. A lot of teams, you'll see them try and take the mid tower, take the enemy safe lane tower very quickly and very close to each other. Newbie's tower taking times are so much later than everyone else's. Their first tower falls, you know, sometimes even close to the 20-minute mark. They're very, very patient, and they really do. They capitalize on other people's mistakes. They're very farm, very just a chill team.
So if it's not towers, what is their early game priority? Just farm and survivability?
It really is just a lot of farming and a lot of prioritizing on enemy mistakes, and you're looking for plays if they have the opportunity. Right. But they're not a very fast team.
So long story short, from what I'm gathering from the couch is that Newbie are going to try and exploit your mistakes, and they will wait for you to make a mistake for however long it takes. Everyone's going to be making mistakes on that stage, though.
Well, in China, they have, when I went to China to play there with LGD Int, the Chinese, one of the first things they said is that if you can't go high ground, then your advantage is false. And that's kind of how they approached it. I mean, back then, people were talking about the Chinese wall. You couldn't push high ground against Chinese teams. And with some Chinese teams, it still is true. I mean, they have faith on the team, and he's the one, I mean, he won TI2, so he's one of the kind of old school Chinese players. So I think there's that mentality still there. You can see that he also has adapted a lot, and I think he's a very intelligent drafter and the captain, and you can see that he's incorporated a lot of new things.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can see that it still holds some truth to it, the idea about the Chinese Dota.
I don't know what you've done, but Will's just kind of, you're in thought.
That was so cool.
You like that?
That idea, if you can't go high ground,
then your advantage is false.
That's so cool.
You're going to get that tattooed on your arm, right? You're going to come back day 3, he's going to have like...
But I think we should talk a bit about the 2 LGD teams.
Yes, it'd be foolish not to.
It's very impressive that both of them have looked really strong leading up to this event. We've seen them, I mean, in these recent kind of events, they've both been doing very well, right? They haven't participated in too many events together, but I mean, at least not away from China. But they've been doing well. I mean, I've seen them both place high in many of these recent events, and I also think it's very funny. We have Yao and DDC on 2 different teams. They used to be teammates. Yao used to play a different position, but DDC, he's been around for a really long time, and both of those guys, they used to play together, now playing against each other all the time, but doing really well and carrying the LGD banner. I'm happy for those guys.
I think it's the question I asked you guys over breakfast was which one is better. I always find it interesting when you do have those partner teams. But I mean, did you have the answer? Did you have the one at the tip of the tongue? You can see the games behind us.
LGD.
We will get to see LGD. And we'll get to see LGD today on the first stream. That's right. So if you look behind us, the first 4 games, it does also tell you that there is going to be 4 streams. So you better go ahead and buy a couple of extra monitors so you can keep track of everything that's going to be going down. But we will be starting on our first stream, EG TNC. We'll be talking about that in just a moment. You get to see Liquid's debut versus IG. You get LGD versus Fnatic, and you get Team Secret versus Empire. Now, did anyone receive word whether we did get Chappie here? Did he make it in time?
No.
He's not, so we have
resolution.
So there's some excitement. I know you don't look particularly excited, Will. He's going back to his roots, at least in an organization.
I'm super happy for him.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Any opportunity to play TI, he worked so hard this year.
Yeah?
He deserves this, absolutely.
So Resolution will be playing. We'll get to see Chappie eventually in the Empire roster, but still, they'll be playing versus Team Secret. Out of the 4, we are going to be focusing on EGTNC, but out of the other 3, is there anyone that particularly jumps out off your screen, Quinn? Which one would you be most excited for?
I think LGD Fnatic. I think.
Why is that?
If there's a team with Kyo on it, you always sort of want to look at the team and and see how they do, because the teams with him on it, that very super aggressive playstyle, can be very hit or miss. And I think it's a team that a lot of teams are sort of keeping their eye on, like how they're going to be doing, because if they are on fire, then you have to watch out for this team because they play very fast. It can be very unexpected to just suddenly have just dozens of heroes in your lane.
Yeah.
And it's a team you have to prep for, you have to be ready for. So I think people in general are going to be watching to see how that team does. Okay,
let's keep your eyes on them. Is there anything to add to the pile, Will? I mean, I'm guessing your eyes are going to be watching that Empire game, right? So you just want to see what Rezo is up to?
Yeah, I mean, these are all 4 of these games I've got kind of a stake in. Fnatic, we used to play against QO and Febby back in Korea. And my first earliest memory of QO was actually him yelling at his, like, the first team that he was on. He's like, you need to fight with me. He's just like screaming at them in Korean, and you realize, like, this is how this guy thinks. He just wants to fight. He does not care about objectives. He's just like, kill people, make them scared. He's like literally screaming at the top of his lungs. He's like, you need to kill people with me. And I was like, wow, this guy's something else.
He's a brawler.
Yeah, it's just kind of always how he's been. That's why this is the key characteristic of every team that he plays on because he's such a centerpiece.
Well, I mean, at the centerpiece of our stream 1, which is going to be EGTNC, is where we're going to turn our attention now. This is where I can kind of pick your brains. I know that I was going to be asking you for a brainstorming session, Will, just beforehand. Just yesterday, I was like, TNC, fill me in. And you said there's a lot to be discussed surrounding these two as they're about to clash.
Yeah, TNC especially is probably one of the more kill-heavy teams. We talk about teams that favor objectives, but for me, when we played against them, it just felt like they were going for kills nonstop. They were one of the few teams that ran Ember Spirit and Phantom Lancer still. And these heroes, they can't really go high ground. All they do is kill you nonstop around the map. You can't even take Roshan. Like, these aren't easy objectives. So they're a kind of team that snowballs really hard, and I feel like TI, it'll suit their kind of meta.
Is there anything to add to the TNC pile?
Well, I just wanted to just quickly just say that for me, at least, it's IG Liquid. I think,
sorry, I didn't get to ask you.
Yeah,
right.
Just because I feel like that's a matchup between two really strong teams that I expect to go quite far in this tournament. With that said, I think that TNC EG, it's going to be interesting. I think there are two very good carry players in this game. Both Raven and Arteezy are some very highly, focused on GPM, and they're very kind of carry-esque kind of carry players, the traditional. Although recently we have seen Artur take kind of a step back and play more of a position 2 and let Sumail carry, and it's worked out really well for them. And I think that's a very big step for him to kind of take a step back. Yeah. He's kind of taken the approach more that Fear used to have a little bit more, and kind of let Sumail do the carrying most of the part. And I think that's kudos to him. What
is the general consensus surrounding this? Is Arteezy kind of the front runner of this carries starting to have to do less, kind of out of the limelight switch that we're seeing from Dota at the moment?
I'd say Matama Man is probably the first one to like make that very big switch from like not playing these carry heroes to playing the heroes that kind of just sit there that do their thing.
Wouldn't say No-Tail though.
High impact on the game. That's true.
Yeah.
I feel like he's at least for me the one that comes to mind the most, because he's always been this guy. Even you see his Terrorblade, he's like level 5, he takes a mid tower. It's like, I don't know, I never saw anyone else do that. Yeah. He rotates on the map. And we saw them play carry Visage and stuff too.
I think some people are just kind of, when you see Arteezy just sitting in the safe lane with a Venomancer, and you're kind of like, what's going on here? Who is this guy?
The weird part is he was the one that originally introduced the carry role to the mid lane. And so for him to have to take that step back, completely reverse himself. I know the first iteration when he was with EG during the Frankfurt Major, something he was telling me something felt off. And I think it was because they were both vying to carry this team. But now after talking to him at the most recent Major, it seems like he has a better understanding of how that dynamic is supposed to work between the two of them.
And I mean, in terms of how these guys are going to face off, EG clear favorites in everyone's mind here. Is that right?
I don't know.
Look, see, eyebrows just immediately. Let's explain your thought process just then. Quinn.
I don't know about clear favorites. I don't think you can even say favorites for this tournament. I think one of the coolest things about this TI is how close a lot of these teams are.
He meant for the matchup.
I meant in the matchup, but I mean.
Oh, you meant in the matchup?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, in the matchup. Yeah, I think definitely the clear favorites. We sort of talked about TNC potentially being a dark horse. So, you sort of have to see how they turn up. They did, very, very well against the teams in their region, against these C teams, and have done, quite well at, larger events. Have taken games off of Liquid at Star Ladder, and in general is just a very solid team. But I think EG's playstyle does quite well against them. So, we'll have to see.
And EG's playstyle starts in the draft. Now, we're not going to be going through the draft here on this pre-show, but in terms of expectations for that, have EG going to kind of copy and paste how they've been playing up until TI here? Are they going to be keeping some of the aces up their sleeves for now, do you think, Pycat? You're going to be seeing more puck on Sumail or flex pick puck? What else are we going to expect to see?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of stick to at least some of those heroes. I don't know, some puck and sanking and stuff. Sure. But it is TI, and many teams like to have a number of different kind of strategies set and going into TI, so you can switch things up if you want to do so.
Okay, and with all of that said, I think it is actually almost time for us to say our goodbyes. The game is still getting ready, so I'm just going to get final thoughts and predictions from you handsome gentlemen as we have kicked off our very first day of TI. So, Will, EG, TNC, give me a team name and your final thoughts, scene set of this game.
I will say that TNC surprises.
Ooh, okay.
I think that EG are known as slow starters. I feel like this is going to kind of bite them here. I feel like TNC, very motivated. I think their kill-heavy playstyle is going to lend them very well here. I think EG will bounce back later on, but I think in this first series, I'll say TNC.
What do you make of that, Quinn?
I think there is some credence to that, but I also think the way EG have been playing more recently, this faster style, these heroes like Venomancer that are very hard to run into, and I think that's going to end up, TNC is just going to have a hard time playing their game. So I also think EG is just, on paper the better team, so I'll go with EG.
Okay. So what do you reckon, this slow starter idea, is this something that's still applicable to EG?
I do think Will has a point in it for sure. We've always seen EG as one of those kind of slow starter teams.
Start warming up.
They, they need a couple of warm-up games. They never really do that well in their first games of a tournament. That said, I do think that when it comes to TNC versus EG, I feel like TNC should have a difficulty closing out the game against EG. Yeah. And so I'm still going to side with EG.
Okay, well, it sounds like the players are still getting into the lobby, so it does mean that we have a little bit more time to kind of, cover the other matchups, because I feel like I don't want to, completely blow their ears off. The casters, of course, will be talking all about EG and TNC when they do get into that one. But so outside of that, I know that the opening matchup that caught your eye was the Team Liquid matchup, and I find the Team Liquid concept masters of Epicenter was where I got to see them play their Dota most recently, but it's a very intriguing approach they seem to have to Dota. Are we still going to see Matumba Man's Lone Druid, is my first question to you, because that was fun.
I would definitely not be surprised if we saw a Lone Druid from Matumba Man. I think it's going to be, he's going to play that at least a couple of times. I'm also looking forward to the Matumba Man Lycan, obviously. I talked a bit to him, and he was ready to go with the, with his thing. Yeah, he's ready, I think. But yeah, I think it's a very interesting matchup. It's Kuro versus Q, it's OP versus, I guess, Miracle, and we have Burning versus Matumba Man. I think they're kind of different teams. We've also recently seen, I feel at least, Liquid have also kind of been more lenient towards having Miracle do more of the heavy lifting in terms of carry. Matumba Man has become a bit more of a playmaker, whereas Burning, he's still been a lot on the traditional hard carries, although we did see him, I remember a couple of tournaments back, he was playing this Venge with Pipe and Hood, Pipe and Solar and stuff. So we're seeing a lot of these carry players transition to it, but I just feel like the player matchups in this game it's very interesting.
And that's going to be going on stream 2. Now, it does sound like the players are ready for our stream 1 game, and that means that EGTNC is coming up. A big thank you to our guests. You'll be seeing us in the evening as well. We're going to wrap it up, put a bow on it, and talk you through what you missed in the day if you couldn't catch all of them with your 4 eyes necessary to catch it all. But the groups are off. TI7 is kicking off, and your first game here on your first stream is going to be EG taking on TNC. Let's jump in with your casters and kick things off.
From a beautiful panel to a beautiful casting pair. I'm Toby1, joined by the most miraculous Cinderin, as we're going into the International 2017 Day 1, Stream A, Game 1.
Yeah, this is a great match to kick everything off. Very excited to see both these teams. I think, in my mind, 2 teams that have a chance to go very far, so I love it. As the panel was talking about, they seemed a little bit uncertain who, or at least divided as to who the favorites were. I believe Blitz, who favored TNC in this particular matchup, and kind of the rest was a bit more on the E train. I think they hit the nail on the head though with the playstyle we're going to see. Maybe a bit faster than early on, and EG generally as a team seems to be fairly slow at getting into tournaments. That's something we should never forget. The classic lower bracket team that has a slow start against TNC generally does well in the beginning. So. See what form they're in here from the beginning.
Yeah, I'm wondering if EG do actually bring that kind of form. TNC for me, like when I was going through the list of teams who, you had that list of who is going to create an upset, who is going to be that team which you don't know if they're going to win or not. TNC is one of those ones that flagged up. You will have to remember the run that the brand had last year. Obviously, it was a slightly different team, but now being led by 1437 with Kips behind the scenes as well, and everyone in TNC just playing beautiful and synergized Dota. They are definitely up there as one of those teams. I'm not surprised that Blitz would back them to really give EG a run for their money.
Yeah. I do believe this is 4 out of the 5 same player C team, isn't it? 3.
The only one you changed was Jimmy?
Was it? That's what I can't remember if Tims was playing in the iteration last year, or if Tims is new as well compared to 1 year ago. But I'm pretty sure Kuku, Raven, and Ansem H were definitely on the TA6 team.
We'll double check it and get back to you.
Yeah, we'll double check it.
Well.
So anyway, let's talk a little bit about the picks now. So
yes.
We're a little bit into the draft now. Not too surprising as far as bans go. This is the type of bans that you will generally see against a team. A very stun-heavy team, especially their offlane player Sam H is a very renowned Sand King player, for example, which is not really that good in the offlane right now, in my opinion, but he has been exceptional on that hero. A hero like Batrider is perfect for him. That's the one they're going to end up grabbing here in the first phase. And as far as EG goes, you generally don't want to give them IO, and Shaker right now is a top-tier pick and ban. I think we're going to see this hero banned a lot just as a meta ban, rather than a targeted ban toward the team. Shaker is just a... Guess what? EG will just go for their classic first-pick Puck that they've run recently.
Is it so classic to have that Oracle come in the second, though?
It's a Batrider counter, I think, mainly. EG want to keep their options open, but as far as the cores go, and then they just pick a support that seems to have good flexibility against the opponent. Picking that into Batrider is nice. The problem for Oracle, however, is that this hero is very positioning dependent, and you can be caught out by both Batrider and Night Stalker. They're going to be playing at a vision deficit almost guaranteed when you look at this draft. So that's something EG kind of have to solve, either by getting scouting heroes such as a Lycan type hero, find heroes, or having a lineup that is so, how to put it, that I don't want to say death ball, but that it's very grouped up together, so it's much harder for Batrider to find picks.
Well, the death ball may actually be the way to go. Like, when you talk about Oracle pickups, normally you talk about the hero he's going to work with. Like, is it just meant to be saving the Batrider, or is he meant to enable the other possible hero? This could be a Universe Puck. Do we look at other options now for Sumail to run in that mid lane?
There's a couple of key heroes, I think, that you need to keep in mind when Oracle is picked. One of them is Huskar. He's gone.
Fourth ban from TNC.
Good choice. Oracle generally makes me think of heroes, that regenerate somehow, so you get a lot out of False Promise. A hero like Alchemist could still be an option for... It is...
There were some people actually tossing Alchemist around, wondering if he would actually appear in this tournament.
You're always going to see Alchemist in big tournaments. That's always going to be... So, the way I look at it is that in these tournaments, there's going to be different paced games based on matchups and based on how much information the teams have about each other. And if the game slows down just a bit, Alchemist gets a lot better as a pick. But maybe this early on, it's not time yet to pull out that kind of pick. But we know Sumail plays a really good Alchemist. And EG haven't been afraid of playing it recently. I think they're one of the only teams, actually, in the last 2 months that have been picking Alchemist at least a couple of times. I can't remember who the opponent was, but I remember Sumail just getting completely out of control with his Alchemist. What else is a classic Oracle pairing?
Death Prophet would be the other one.
Death Prophet, yeah. Very good choice for Sumail as well. Surely be... It's a bit... Again, you need to have the good positioning on Oracle then, because Death Prophet actually doesn't like facing Batrider. You're standing close to the tower, you're hitting it with Exorcism, and then if you get pulled into the enemy team, you don't really have any defensive ways of getting out unless Oracle is on the ball, so...
And Sumail's mainly been playing like Lena's, Embers, Queen of Pains as the primary heroes. Some more Sumail style heroes, not these just walk at you style heroes, which everyone gets a little impressed when Sumail plays, because like he can't highlight his full abilities. I Spirit Siphon, yay, I'm a player.
Well, you can display a lot of skill on DP as well, but it's just not as flashy. I agree with that.
Rubik. Probably going to be one of the biggestly contested heroes.
Yeah,
next to Pudge in the Arcana draft for Conversation Talks EI.
Okay. Something we here talked about too much is the value of Null Field. Generally, you focus on, can he steal some cool spells? You have Telekinesis, you have Fate Bolt to depush, but the Null Field can be very important. And at least this two opening from EG is like more or less only magic damage. And that is not going to change with that pick either, unless it's a core, which I seriously doubt. There's probably a Zai Conka here. Actually, this hero has some interesting counterplay potential against Batrider. You have the X marks the spot to target the guy who gets lassoed, and then pull him back out. So now they have both supports have counterplay for lasso. Also, innately, a nice way of catching the Batrider out. In both in lane and in the mid game, you can catch him with that X mark. Make things happen, but still, EG, no vision.
Yep.
And that is my primary concern for them right now, because now they've picked 2 supports. It has to be a core giving vision.
It's feeling more Deathball, combining Ghost Shift plus the survivability of Oracle, the teamfight control that can come from the puck, but they're still missing someone that can push the lane.
Yeah.
You got all this wonderful teamfight and survivability in the lineup, but you don't have more. You don't have that ability to actually force TNC into an engagement. And now they've got the Juggernaut. It's even more safety in lane. They've got the vision advantage, they've got the farm advantage, they've got immunity advantage. It's wonderful for them.
There we go.
All right.
That's the vision hero.
There's your vision and there's your push.
Yeah. Probably going to be seeing this run by Arteezy. And this also means that TNC, picking Arteezy's hero at this point, I really like just because it conceals the puck for as long as possible. TNC aren't completely sure now what type of hero they need to ban, because this puck could be either offlane or mid. If they would have picked the mid hero for Sumail, such as an Alchemist, then TNC know for sure that they can last ban a carry that they don't want to pair up with that Oracle. There's plenty of options here. The way I see it for EG is not that easy. They're going to go ahead and ban the Beastmaster, so a Vision hero being taken out here that Universe could have run. Would have also been very nice for their pushing aspect with the Inner Beast aura, and of course Primal Roar is a nice way of dealing with the type of hero that Juggernaut is. A BKB piercing or Magic Immunity piercing stun is very powerful against Jugger.
Would have been a lot safer as well than running something like the Universe Enigma offlane, which would give you your push and your teamfight control, but fares poorly against the Rube, just because he can turn it around on him.
I could definitely see Enigma being a choice here. It doesn't sound too bad. I somehow have a feeling that this puck might be run offlane just because of the support duo he's facing. Rubik and Night Stalker are actually not that good at killing puck until nighttime. Especially when the carry in the lane is a Juggernaut. You know, their only stun is Telekinesis, which is pretty short, and then they have Void. Until Night Stalker hits level 2, if he skills Silence level 2 as Night Stalker support, which is pretty uncommon, because then you reach nighttime, and then are you actually going to have Hunter in the night when night begins? Unless he does that. Puck fares pretty well here in that offlane, I think. It's not too bad.
He should do pretty well, like with the Lycan buff up as well. That should give him a lot more to function with.
For sure.
You just got to have the selfless, safe laning Arteezy.
Oh, that's actually a very good point as well that we didn't mention. They picked Lycan into Night Stalker. That's a classic counter pick in this patch where, oh, there's going to be a lot of nighttime, so now we pick the hero that has that empowers the entire team during the night. And it actually went through all the way to 4th pick. I don't think TNC were thinking about this hero, because a lot of other teams are banning Lycan after they pick the NS. They might have thought Veno was a bigger threat, but
Veno would have caused a lot of problems for the Batrider.
Yes.
More than anything else. And so what is our last one? It's going to be the Faceless Void. So they go for Teamfight Lockdown. A little bit of trouble, though, doing damage into Chronosphere targets.
Yeah, so when you pick Void with a melee core, one of two things needs to happen. Either the Chrono needs to be placed very well, so your melee hero can hit the targets in the Chrono on the edge, or you use Chrono as a control tool that the carry then plays around. The reason Lycan and Void actually don't have the worst synergy ever, you're thinking like, oh, I Chrono someone, but Lycan can't hit. Lycan can hit everyone else, because he can really quickly maneuver around the Chronosphere or play the numbers game, where if 2 or 3 heroes are stunned, Lycan is very powerful in fights. He wins almost every single man fight just by virtue of being ridiculously strong at that phase in the game. And he can run down the supports. So if you Chrono the cores, then Lycan will get 1 or 2 kills during that Chrono. And the rest of the lineup kill in the Chrono. So there's a lot of other heroes that deal damage in Chrono. Queen of Pain last.
So she'll be heading towards the mid, and that wraps up the TNC and EG lineups. Queen of Pain, like, it gives them their burst damage, but is she really going to be able to win out against a puck? It's an old-fashioned matchup, the Queen of Pain versus a puck.
It's different now than it used to be a year or 2 ago. This lane, in my book, is quite a bit puck-favored. It used to be like
Arteezy. How does TNC keep EG on the back foot?
I think their lineup is very momentum based, so it's very fitting, right? I don't want to call it a hit or miss lineup, but it's one where if you don't get stuff done in the first 10 minutes, I feel like it falls flat a little bit. So they've put themselves, in that sense, a little bit on a clock to perform actions, but at the same time, their lineup is also really good at doing it. At night time, you have Night Stalker and Bat Rider playing together. The Rubik can rotate for ganks. You have 2 strong cores to gank for. The Bat Rider is a really good hero to gank for at night time. The Queen of Pain can definitely find kills with rotations. And then it just comes down to, okay, do TNC perform this early game well enough that they built the advantage they need? We talked about, I think it's fair to say EG's teamfight is just vastly superior. And their late game, I also like better, just because this is not the best Juggernaut late game, I think. Doesn't fare that great against Lycan, and especially not against Void. Hard lockdown is generally a very good way to go against Jugger, which might have been why TNC banned the Beastmaster.
This also feels like one of those games too when like the Juggernaut is for once alone without the Magnus buff up, without that big burst flash farm that can come from him. Like, when you look at the drafting and like just the item progression for him now, do you still want to try and go for that carry Juggernaut? And what is the progression? Do you go for the farming items? Do I dare mention the Battle Fury Juggernaut and piss off everybody in the world?
I was thinking the same thing, if you should go farming oriented. But I don't think that's the way you farm with Jugger this patch. I think you go Mask of Madness. And then maybe you go into a Maelstrom. Like if you play very farm heavy, and then later on you can play the Mask of Madness.
They're going to try and contest that top bounty room, pick him up, throw him away with a telekinesis. But then the focus target, it is going to be down towards the Rubik. 1437's on the run. Is there enough pressure from Sam H and Tims? There isn't in time to kill off Crit, but the sticky napalm is there, making it difficult for Crit to escape. One more punch from Tims will do the work. But Sam H is taking significant amount of damage. First blood goes the way of EG. As far as the bounty rune goes, TNC did at least claim 3, so it's a small reward for the first blood that they lost.
That first blood gold went to Crit, and then he died immediately after. So he actually didn't gain that much because he lost some of it. Yeah, that's a pretty even trade overall. Very curious to see how this mid lane plays out. I think this, Sumail is already starting to very good control. Help from Tims will be coming in. Sumail has successfully already created a double wave. This is a concept that we're going to be seeing a lot of this tournament. Since the mid lane was changed, so there's an extra creep, you can just dominate your opponent by pushing really hard and then having so many creeps under the tower that you can freely go and hit the opposing hero and limit his ability to get CS. Sumail right here with this double wave. You see they have to yield immediately. There's just way too many creeps coming in, and realistically Cuckoo is going to lose a lot of creeps here. Sumail plays it right. He did not on that one, or that one. But that one.
Underneath the tower does make it hard. Made it a little bit harder for Cuckoo as well when he's fighting inside the trees, but Tims, this is the reason why he's here. This is the reason why Night Stalker is a fantastic pickup. And a blink forward! Sumail may be in trouble. Cuckoo's going deep, but a little bit too deep. Underneath the tower, he'll burn the salve, but so does Sumail.
Yeah, that's a good howl by Arteezy as well as an insurance policy there, but nice aggression coming out from Cuckoo there, seeing an opportunity to pounce on it. I think this is how you want to try to play against Sumail. If you get the chance in mid, you want to try to pressure him, because else it goes the other way. Sumail is not that kind of passive mid player that'll just sit by and trade farm unless he has to with his hero matchup. So if this amount of pressure they're putting on the puck is very good for TNC here in the mids. Sumail has to play a bit passive now. He will get a second salve coming in, but they're successfully giving Cuckoo a good lane now, this rotation. The question is what it costs, because obviously that means the Night Stalker can't help top or bottom. Well, Universe is having a really good time against this Juggernaut.
Yeah, he's able to find a lot of levels. They were trying to do something about it, like the telekinesis grabbed into spin. That was after he time walks. The Universe did take considerable amounts of damage from that.
Mid lane.
Yeah, Cuckoo, X-Marks, Torrented, support's coming in. Tims is on his way. So is the Courier, and they turn around and just punch into Zai. Cuckoo has to retreat back out again. He'll burn yet a second salve now for that mid.
This will be... I think this is a good opening game to just see how the mid lane is going to be played this tournament. This lane is the biggest lane of Dota simply because of the extra creep now. There's going to be a lot of emphasis on...
Oh, Crit. Get out of here, Crit. Top lane, he's being fireflied up. Sticky napalm to 4 stacks. All that Firefly needs to do is get on top of him.
Oh, the Centaur!
But the Centaur Storm, it keeps Arteezy inside controlled. Crit will die, and Sam H will get a solo kill trying to contest the dire pull on top lane.
man, if he would have killed another hero in that Firefly burn. Zai dropped pretty low as well.
Sumail is on the wrong side of the tracks. One range creep able to find him. Tims will be there. Quick blink forward. Cuckoo's going to find the kill. Sumail finding himself stranded behind the tier 1 tower and getting punished on his way out.
This early game is looking very good for TNC far, not just because of the kills, but also the amount of farm that the Juggernaut is getting is very nice. They've managed to create a pretty 50-50-ish situation in that mid lane. Very important as we... The only hero who's suffering a bit as far as CS goes is Sam H, but he just found that kill, so he's also looking okay. And I think TNC's game plan now has been executed well enough that the first night time, now the Night Stalker's level 3, is going to be really dangerous. EG needs to be careful not to hemorrhage too many kills right now as...
So you've got at least that nice burst damage in the cripple, but what you don't have is the control. So Universe can time walk out. Puck will be able to illusionary or back out. And you've got different methods of escape available for Evil Genius's cause on the lanes. And then, of course, there's a Lycan.
Yeah.
You're not going to gank the Lycan.
The silence point for Tims is going to be very valuable. It looks like he's actually prioritizing that as well. He's like sticking around in the bottom area, getting levels together with the Rubik. We don't that often see supports just playing together. Okay, now he's going to leave. He's waiting for a ward. This level 4 for NS would be very nice for Tim to get. He knows where Universe is now. Dirt is going to try to mess with him a bit. Yep, okay.
So he can ward, he can leech. But there's no gank, and EG, you asked them not to hemorrhage. At this point, they're hiding on the map from TNC. There are no options on the field for a gank to come in from Tims. And instead, Sumail's trying to get aggressive in mid. The torrent! He'll be able to connect. He's got blink, but doesn't have the time. The stun from Zai followed up perfectly. Now Sumail in trouble. Rotations from Tims as well as 1437. The telekinesis grab will hold him in position. So 1437 will find the kill. And while Queen of Pain is dead, the supports get the revenge.
That was a really nice setup there from EG though. Like kind of baited the Queen to nut. You don't really want to blink there against the puck, and then Zai with the nice torrent. But TNC just as quick on the counterplay as well, coming in with those two supports. And at the end of the day, it's a fairly even trade. TP's being used obviously does matter, but for a hero like I actually don't think Night Stalker even TP'd. I think he just ran over there and read that that was the play that was coming in. 1437 assisted. Easily worth it for them. R spawning. Top rune will to, I guess, Sumail. No, actually, Zai is just going to take that one. Go. Good torrent in mid. Will set up his X. Good harass coming out of Kubi here.
Meanwhile, on bottom lane, they're trying to actually go onto the Faceless Void. I say trying, succeeding. Faceless Void will die underneath the tier 1 tower. So 1437's rotations on point. We're expecting that to come from him, but it's the fact that Tims is always there with him. The support combination of TNC rotation. You know, it actually feels very reminiscent of LGD International when 1437 used to play for them. Like that quick movement, the two of them just move together and you just find the kills. Yeah, Zai's trapped between the tower. 1437's come in. And the Observer Ward sees all. The Torrent will be able to connect on 3, but Zai can't get out of here. Cuckoo, Sonic Wave commits. Sumail jumps over the top. They'll have to trigger off the Shrine. Sumail cannot battle against that level of regeneration. He does get the silence off, but Void is still there. Sumail will get punished, trying to find the kill on the Queen of Pain. Even Raven TP'd in to help out in that one. And TNC now 7-2 on the board, 7 minutes in.
Very minor gold lead, though. This isn't that bad for EG's lineup, as we talked about earlier. Oh, Universe is dead as well. I mean, it's starting to hurt a bit,
yeah.
But I think it's expectable that EG's lineup will fall a little bit behind on kills early on. It's about, do the right heroes get the gold? Are they getting their key items? I think the most worrying thing for EG is that Sumail's game is going the way it is. He has 3 deaths, barely out-farming the Queen of Pain here in terms of CS. Okay, actually like 10 ahead now. On net worth, they're fairly even when Puck definitely wants to be ahead.
They're on the hunt.
Oh.
They're coming in for Cuckoo. With the smoke gank maneuver, Zai can't get in range. They just came off the back of killing the Bat Rider on the top lane, so at least they're slowing down his initiation. That's the dagger that Sam H is desperately trying to reach.
Find crit now. Who finds who, though? I think Sam H is in a lot of trouble. He's going to die here, more than likely.
Yeah, you've already got that little hit coming in from the Fortune Xantar to follow up. Can't TP out this one anymore. And even with the Firefly, he's burning Zai down a fair chunk, but it doesn't matter when Arteezy can move over and Zai does find the kill on that Batrider once more.
This is very interesting. We've not really been looking too much at Lycan so far, but Arteezy is going for Necronomicon, and this build on Lycan has completely fallen out of favor as of late. We've mainly seen Lycans go for more of a combat-heavy build with just damage rather than this split pushing approach or the mana burn, obviously, that Necronomicon gives. Most Lycans would be going for a build along the lines of Mask of Madness and Armlet, and then into a BKB. But wonder what makes him favor the Necro book here, if it's if there's a specific reason he wants that mana burn, or that it is just the game plan. All right, guys, we're going to try to split a bit more here. This is not what I was expecting.
If they feel like
see in this game.
If they feel like they need to have more power in the team fight, Sandro will provide that. You get a little bit more push out of your lineup, and I suppose you get 2 more minions to give you your vision.
Mid lane, Samael.
Yeah, real issues. Cuckoo going down underneath the tier 1 tower. 1437 and Sam H are nearby, and Samael now. He's got an orb available, Metallic needs to pick up. They're trying to stack him up as high as possible before they battle this, but Samael trying to go against everybody. Starts his TP, Sam H was moving away. Samael will survive! Understanding no more stuns, no more control and no more ways to kill him in time.
You really need to be on your A game when you're playing against Lycan when it comes to these moments. It's very deceptive sometimes what you think you can get away with and what you actually can. And I would say in general, the team that has the Lycan will have that little bit of extra advantage. Even if both teams are thinking about it, they obviously choose when to use that Howl. And it definitely gave Samael a little bit of an edge in that fight. Nobody died after the Queen, but you could tell TNC were like hesitating, can we kill him, can we not? And then the Howl comes in, and then he gets to play it safe after. Got out.
And Cuckoo's just wishing he could pop Samael at the moment. The fact that he was able to just get the Shadow Strike off the Scream as well. Samael doesn't have his Shrine available for another 109. Prize. Samael's able to get enough money to have his Veil.
Damn, that is such a high value. 600 gold for it. 11 minutes in for Samael. Very good for him. But of course, yes, EG defended the tower, but they're going to lose a full tier 1 top because Arteezy rotated down and can't protect the lane. And this bottom tower is not long for life anyway, I think, for TNC. Their natural nighttime is kicking in 3 seconds. They know there's no Chronosphere for a full minute. And I think they're going to keep on the aggression. The question is if they're going to go bottom or focus more on the top area and try to get the tier 2. So far, so good. Taken 2 tier 1 towers. The mid tower especially at this point. Quite surprising. Samael doesn't generally lose his tower this fast. Has been put on a lot of pressure.
This is TNC's fast gameplay you're talking about. Raven, TP out of the bottom lane, getting attacked. I instantly want to push in the top tower. Every tier 1 tower has taken damage, and EG playing reactionary, defensive chronos. Like, we can get Samael a kill, but only after they've lost 2 heroes and Ninestocke clipped himself. Like, it seems like very, very hard work for EG, even though they do have the 2nd and 3rd highest net worth heroes on the map. The Juggernaut is still getting further and further ahead of this Lycan, and we're not feeling the influence yet of Arteezy, but also isn't that something we're expecting. Like when you go for a Necro build, you're not going to say, hey, I'm going to really get in the mix of the fight straight away. They're going to find an opening. It's Universe, actually going to be false promised, and Sam H having to run away. Time delay is making it difficult, so is the Torrent and the Orb and the Rift. Everything they've got, chip included, throwing down towards the Batrider. Natizi gets himself involved. Necropooks as well as Wolves diving into the tower, looking for 1437, moving back to his tier 2 tower. The Dream Call catching out Tims. Nightstalker once more can die. Not worth as much money this time for the Samael double kill. But while this is going on, Raven is taking the tier 2 tower up on top lane. EG are forced to fortify. And TNC are not going to lose anything apart from their Batrider and their Nightstalker here for a full 5-man rotation from Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, this play from EG is worth it if they also get the tower, but they simply don't have the resources anymore. And like you said, they lose the tower. So in my book, this is still good for TNC, what just happened. Overall, losing a couple of heroes is obviously not ideal, but when you're trading 2 heroes to defend and get a tower at the same time, I like that trade. Good for them. You're right about the Lycan. Like it's hard for him to get very involved with this Necronomicon build, and at the same time he doesn't farm as fast as if he had another build. I was wondering if we were going to see him max the Wolves early just because of this vision, but he actually doesn't have them maxed until now. He went for a 2-2-4 build and just now took the 2. And I think EG are identifying that the problem is they don't have as much information as they would like. And they picked Lycan in part for that information. Now it's finally going to start flowing in.
Here comes TNC once more. The Dire will scan up and, well, at least one. One does ping as the Juggernaut going into the Dire scan.
Very good read.
Those TNCs a little bit further to the north who scanned up. Doesn't have it. Silenced up, controlled up. And that is a nice read to end. Raven gets more money. And Samael having more issues with item progression.
Cost them their tower though. If you make this smoke movement and you target the puck in mid, EG know that, okay, in order to kill this puck, you're going to need to bring 2 or 3 heroes. And they instantly turn it into an advantageous play for them getting the tower bottom. So I think TNC originally with that smoke weren't intending on going for puck, but maybe trying to wrap around the bottom push that they felt like EG were going to apply. And then they got tempted to go puck kill, I want to say. Grab that core. And maybe it was still for the better. Maybe this bottom fight wouldn't have that well.
Yeah, and they got space for farm time too. Cuckoo has now finished up his Veil of Discord. He was farming up the top lane that entire time. Raven was having the time of his life as well. So yeah, you lose the tier 1 tower, but I'm still wondering, like, this is a lot more efficient timing. You're talking like unclaimed gold on the map. Right now when EG, every time they 5-man it up, all that unclaimed gold, the distance won't be as much once EG do claim it. No, in net worth.
What big items do we have coming in? Juggernaut finished his Manta style. Very good timing here from Raven. Queen of Pain Veil, as you mentioned.
Level 3 book is up.
It's getting a Void Stone, so I'm guessing we'll see a... might be just a Yule's next against the Puck Silence. Also nice against X-Mark, correctly. And on the EG side, Necro 3 is done. Puck with Blink Veil. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So no really big new items, I would say, apart from that Manta style for Jugger, which makes a huge difference in this game because you can get out of Puck Silence now and guarantee a spin, more or less. Right, so
they want to go.
Let's go Roche.
There is no Observer Ward around here. Apart from the Dire side, they have one sitting in front of the pit. But TNC actually have no vision around Roshan. They moved most of their wards. In fact, they've just got that one defensive ward inside their own jungle. But their aggressive vision has actually disappeared. They lost their Observe ward on bottom lane. It timed out. So right now, TNC, for all the vision game we were praising them for, there's a small hole. They've only just put the obs down. but it's too late. EG is already in the pit, taking Roshan, and unless Tim takes to the skies at the moment, they won't realize it in time. In fact, it's already too late. EG, they have Roshan.
This is a very good play call from them. All right, the moment it turns to day, we're just going to go in and use our Necro Book and use our Lycan to take this Roche. TNC would have contested that if they knew. I'm pretty sure they would have tried to mess with them with the Bat Rider and the Jugger and the Queen, even if Night Stalker is weak.
They checked too late. Like, the Manta Illusions were going up from the Juggernaut as well. But yeah, just 5-10 seconds behind EG.
Yep. This gives EG a nice little power play here with the Lycan Aegis. Not the best Aegis carrier as such, but...
Oh, they just smoked on the Dire Ops.
Still an advantage.
4-man smoke on Dire Ops. Does EG do anything about this apart from evade?
Try to take the fight. If they have the Aegis to play with, so they could bait in the Arteezy Lycan and try to get a team fight around. That looks like exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah, and there's your Observer Ward. So 1437 will see him. They do, however, see the rest of the heroes behind with the Dream Call, catching 1437. Raven, he's out. They're going to sacrifice the Rubik here. They do not want this fight. But they did get some aggressive wards down. Raven, trouble. There's a wolf on his tail at the moment, trying to body block up. And Arteezy, he does it perfectly. Blocked up one avenue. Raven doesn't even think he can get through the second, and he will be brought down. A huge kill on the Juggernaut. And the Evil Geniuses lose absolutely nothing. And they may even get a little bit more. I say that they just lost a courier. Small value lost.
That's the Aegis right there. You could see the mental game that happened when that smoke broke. TNC move up, they see the Lycan with the ward they drop down, and they're like, we can't go on this guy. And then they just want to disengage, but the mobility of EG's heroes able to net them 2 nice kills there, especially the one on Juggernaut. Very important kill. Slow him down as he was having a great game so far. Just death. And EG can maybe turn some pushing. They're looking to group up here in mid. Wolves are ready in 3 seconds to be resummoned. The Necro Book's still a bit away, but I don't think TNC want to fight this.
There's no Sonic Wave. Like, she used it to kill off the courier.
So it's nighttime with Howl. They're not going to kill this Lightning Flash.
Yeah, all 1437 can do is try and push him back. I suppose 1437 got Howl. It's not a bad buff up.
It's actually a very good steal when you have Night Stalker in your team. It's one of the best spells that Rubik can have this game.
And right now, EG, they don't seem to be too dissuaded by the fact he's got it. They take the tier 1 tower in mid. They're rotating as a full group to bottom. Once again, TNC is doing this split kind of pressure. Back up towards top lane. Sandmate is up here. Trying to find that farm to get him towards his BKB. Queen of Pain still working on the Yule Scepter. 120 gold, 110 gold away now. And Raven will have to take up the mid. Still trying to work on his Maelstrom. But this is a lot of heroes to commit for a long time from EG. Is this bottom tier 2 tower really worth it? You send Sumail now up to the top lane to defend. Are they still okay with this trade-off when you've got the Aegis the Immortal? Is it more of that we want to fight, so we're going to force them into it?
I think it's more of a feeling of necessity that if they start splitting up, they're playing into TNC's lineup with this Bat Rider, Queen of Pain, Night Stalker that are innately a lot better at skirmishing than team fighting. So EG are just willing to sacrifice a little bit of farming efficiency to not give away kills. And at the end of the day, should be probably getting this bottom tier 2 tower, or maybe not.
They're pressuring Arteezy. Yeah. They're only pressuring him though. There's no real attack because they know that's pointless, right? You go onto Arteezy, he's either got Aegis or he's going to get false promised.
Yeah, he's not going to die.
Yeah. So all you can do is just dissuade them, slow down the lane, continue to add pressure up on top lane, which is what Raven is doing. He's back in to pressuring that top lane to make EG wonder, like, what happens if we keep this going? A tier 2 for tier 3 tower damage? Is that worth it for them? Cuckoo amplifies up Arteezy once more, blinks away. Starts to scream as Howl on Howl. There goes your Sonic Wave committal as well from Cuckoo. With a scream, you might be able to pick off at least the Necro Books. So they've lost their push, and it's Sumail on top lane, chasing after Raven, who's already starting his spin TP out. So they hold their tier 2 tower on bottom lane TNC, and do some chip damage to the tier 3 tower on top.
I really like that Sonic Wave cast. I think most players wouldn't have gone for that, but he identified that if he casts all his spells in succession there, he kills off the Wolves and the Necro Book, and that's probably going to stop EG's... And it did, because they're pressuring top at the same time. That Sonic Wave might have looked like a waste, but it defended a tower and it forced TPs to pop, so... Play from Coop. read on the situation. Pipe finish now on Night Stalker, very nice item. This is a build you're going to be seeing more in this tournament. Night Stalkers used to go for Aghanim Scepter almost exclusively, but teams have identified now that it might be a bit of overkill on vision. Of course it's nice to have the vision, but you already have vision advantage just by it being nighttime, and then instead you can have a better team fighting impact. The problem with Axe is that you give vision and that's it. Now he's giving them team fight presence by being able to pipe up the team, having magic resistant aura, and just contributing that way. You're generally going to see this build or Solar Press.
And he's doing both.
Item, and sometimes even both, yeah. And very standard. Could have maybe considered a Halberd this game. There's two good targets, both the Lycan and the Void. Void right now doesn't matter too much. Yeah, I like this choice of items a lot. I think the Pipe Burst is the best choice.
Judging by the speed of this game, TNC, the more towns they take, the more these fights continue, the more money they're going to get. They're looking for Raven. Universe going to Chronosphere him up. SamH nearby. Blink Lasso just controlling on Sumail. Torrent still doing its work. Raven into the Omni Slash. The Creep Wave soaks up a fair amount of the jumps, however, and Sumail keeping hot on his tail. So is Arteezy. You'll bring him up, and when Raven hits the ground, torrented up, he will fall. SamH also in a world of hurt, getting time locked over in the tree lines, trying to juke it out. He's lost his Firefly. He needs to blink away, but the urn, he jukes it! He went down into the small little corner on the left, moves down, can blink away. Actually, not even blinking, just goes for the raw TP out to safety. They will still lose the Juggernaut, but TNC, it could have been a lot worse for them.
That was really nice damage to get out. The question is if this push was like this movement from TNC was likely to succeed. I think at this point they need to realize that these fights are not gonna go their way if they set them up like this. They need to get the jump. If the first engagement fight was this, where they get the jump on the Juggernaut with the Chrono, it's really difficult for TNC to come back in the fight. They did a lot of good countermeasures. SamH jumped in on the puck and locked him down. They even stole Howl and used it with Rubik, I believe. But still, it wasn't enough.
Universe. Hard to chase him when you've actually got that sticky napalm on him too.
Tims needs to be careful with this gem. It's getting max rooted here. They're gonna chase him down. If Sumail finds him here, this is really big.
He can't get close enough. SamH is also playing guard duty.
Yeah, Tims has to be really.
And both these teams are desperately trying to scramble for wards. That one Dire Obs. Can't believe there's actually gone full duration with the Jammer True Sight on the Night Stalker, but sitting in mid lane.
It's not a place that Night Stalker crosses too often. Generally going to be playing around the two sides of the map and inside the jungle to, you know, control bounty runes, try to find the aggressive wards on the hills and whatnot. So sometimes these quote-unquote obvious mid wards can actually work very well against a hero who is looking for the more, you know, intricate spots. And as you said, EG do get full duration on it. Now it's expiring though, so they're actually completely blind on the map, except for the creep. They kept pushing it. And that becomes increasingly important right now. This is danger time.
And so we actually look to see where Crypt puts down the Ob's ward. Where does EG feel they need to see more than anywhere else? They've only got the one available at the moment.
I think the Roshan should be the priority right now.
Well, he is back up and running. With the Assault Cuirass freshly onto Arteezy. They have a lot of armor, a lot of tank, a lot of team fight, which they want to push with.
Yeah.
But having the insurance of the Aegis lets you push harder.
This is a very nice luxury to have by playing together with Oracle. I think if Arteezy was not with Oracle, he might have considered a BKB as his secondary item, but he feels like he has enough protection from his lineup that he can go straight in for a very aggressive damage item. And of course the defensive, it's not strictly aggressive. He didn't go Deso, but it's a nice hybrid item, let's call it that here, that gives him really powerful stats in the fight.
A tier 3 tower's taking damage again for Evil Geniuses, now down to 50% of his HP. This is that pressure from TNC. So I'm wondering, like, just how hard does EG and how fast does EG have to push in order to stop this continuously happening from TNC?
They need to get an Aegis. With the next Aegis, they can go high ground, and EG push fast. Their lineup is fast with AC Necro build. If they successfully find a key pick here into Roche, we're looking at maybe next daytime that they will try to claim Elena Barracks.
Well, they're looking for the pick. Smoked up, moving through mid. Best target right now is Cuckoo grabbing that 28-minute rune. He's just farming up. They need the control, and there's your blink into a Chronosphere. It's perfectly done from Universe support on the way. Tim's going to be nearby, but they've already lost the Queen of Pain. Tim's will start his TP out, and they're going for Roshan. They burnt Necro Books as well as Wolves, so they really want to make the most out of this. They're going in for Roshan. Look at that haste room from Sumail.
TNC just going to give this away.
Sumail's coming up for 1437.
Yep.
1437 is trying to add pressure towards the tower. Okay, now Sumail's actually keeping back. Sam H, 5 flying over, blinks in. Lasso going to grab Universe. Remember, they've got no Chrono Speed to work with. Underneath Roshan, who's already down to 1/5 of his HP. Support will arrive. Raven blinks in. He was almost looking to steal off Roshan. They had to trigger off the pipe. What'd you end up getting stolen? Okay, it's just going to be ripped for the moment, but 1437 hit by the torrent with the X to start it off. That'll do the work. They're looking for more. Tim's Dream called up. Omni Slash nicely hitting on almost all the heroes from EG, but the damage being distributed perfectly, meaning the Crick finds himself a double kill. And so far, TNC haven't found anything yet. Crit actually gets himself a triple kill, throwing out the nukes to try and lock down Cuckoo. He got X'd. He'll quickly Yule Scepter up, however. Dispelling it off means he doesn't get hit by the torrent combination. Roshan is still alive, but EG, they will shrine up and go in once more.
That's a very big win for them. Very, very big win. They got the Queen buyback. They lost no heroes, right? They didn't have a single casualty.
Yep.
Buyback from Night Stalker. Did they steal his gem too?
They had the Gem of Truth set over on Crit now.
Yeah, so they stole the gem as well. This is like the more or less the biggest win you could imagine. I thought TNC were going to get a good fight out of this when they bought back the Queen so late because the Necro book was expiring. EG had been using a couple of cooldowns, but they still held together very nicely there. The problem that TNC are facing right now is that they just don't have enough damage. They're not killing the heroes. They're playing into Howl, Mech, and False Promise. And you see this Omni Slash jumping, and he's getting some nice split damage out here, but immediately has to play defensively, goes into the spin, scared of the Ghost Ship, and this fight is already over at this point. No one from EG is even faced. They also have the Ghost Ship. Like, there's just so much sustain that TNC have to get this jump where Batrider lassos and Juggernaut comes in at the same time. And what started it all off was in that Roche pit. They blink lasso the Void, and the immediate X counterplay from Zai just makes that fight a walk in the park.
So there's the question. Maybe the answer to why EG are always grouped up the way they are. They understand that how TNC do the fights is perfectly kind of when they are there as 4 as 5.
Yep.
TNC want these individual pickoffs. And the only person who seems to be a little bit further out of position is Sumail. But he's a puck with a Yule Scepter. He's got a lot of get out of jail free cards as this puck.
He's going to be almost impossible for them to get the link in. Batrider didn't go Force Staff. He feels like he has to go link into straight BKB. So Sumail with this Lincoln's in about 1,000 gold will
Zai
very difficult to deal with.
looking for a kill right now. They're going to put down the sentry ward 1437. He actually did a defensive torrent, but they'll end up losing his life. So there's the pickoff EG was looking for. They've got Aegis Immortal. They want to push in. And the line is being done. Arteezy will go through the bottom lane and attack tier 3 tower while the rest of EG are assaulting the tier 2. And this time around, TNC's push on the top lane is not adding enough pressure. Raven is on his way up. They can soak up the wave pretty quickly here if they want to. And maybe they can actually force EG into a bad trade-off position. But you've still got Necrobox. Okay, everyone's coming back. And they may look for bottom. The lasso, Sam H, he caught out Arteezy. They've got the Yules up now on Puck, breaking him free of any kind of extra control. Tim's still in the neighborhood. Arteezy gonna try and fight this one. Crit is nearby. The Dream Coil, it catches 3 at the moment. BKB already expended from the Batrider. Welcome to your 10-second effectiveness of the BKB. It ends up with your Night Stalker dying and you not killing the Lycan. In fact, Sumail going back in once more. Not being controlled. But EG bailing out of a lot of those TPs that stop TNC from pressuring further.
EG are building a really big advantage at this point. This attempted split push from TNC top, they actually had a very good read on it. They were starting to hit the tower, and they got out of there just in time before Universe blinked in for the Chrono Sphere. If that Chrono connects, this could have been a complete disaster. Instead, it's like a minor inconvenience. I think their Night Stalker, they obviously lost nothing on their bottom tower at the very least, but still the map just feels less and less available to TNC. Now 8,000 behind on the gold. The key items coming out now. Finally, there's a Shiva's Guard here in the Queen of Pain, but the problem is you just got this feeling that she's still going to be very hesitant to go in. There's just so much damage and control and sustainability in EG's lineup.
She's trying to go on to Zai. X marks the spot. You still got the screen, the Sonic Wave available. Zai gonna let the ship fly, but you also have to protect the Queen. Pain, but cannot protect it from the Chronosphere. Orb damage, you got the Rip to follow up as well. Silence cannot blink away, and that is 86 seconds now without the Queen of Pain, and EG still itching for a push. They got the Aegis Immortal available for another minute and probably 20 seconds, so decent amount of time for EG to get the job done.
This is a lane of barracks if TNC can't get anyone's TP home fast enough. Raven's going to try through the mid lane, but he needs to chew through an entire tier 2. And so do EG top, but they're a little bit faster than this Juggernaut, let's put it that way. So they're already going to reach the base now. 1 full minute to play with.
They didn't even burn Necros,
and they know
Wolves,
no
or Howl. Like, all of these things are available right now for Evil Geniuses. TZ will burn all 3 of them in one big go, and that tier 3 tower, it doesn't stand a chance. Universe goes in deeper. Samage again has to defensively BKB the Chronosphere, does split up the fight a little bit more. The Dream Call holding in TNC, so TZ just does a lap around the Chronosphere to come in for the extra kill. There's a hit onto the Bat Rider, and TNC, they've lost control of this game now. Evil Geniuses taking the top racks, but what do they get in return here, TNC? You bought back on the Bat Rider, you're looking for a kill. At least Tim doesn't get hit by the boat, but they jump in once more. Blink the time dilation. You're gonna get hit once more by the Torrent. And TNC, they've lost too many heroes. That one pickup on the Queen of Pain has now just avalanched into this EG advantage.
Yeah, they can probably play Megas here. They didn't lose their Aegis or their Cheese, I believe, in that exchange. No, they still have both.
Yep.
Just gonna head straight down to bottom. And the key piece of information for EG here is that they know Queen. Oh, wait a second, they're gonna go in.
Oh, this is really problematic. Maybe with the Omni Slash, Universe can time walk off so much of the damage. Zai will go down. But the Bat Rider, he caused a lot of confusion. The issue is Raven. Manta, break free of the silence. They still need to kill off Arteezy. He's in dog form. You'll set him up. Cuckoo wants more control. They got the screen. 1437. He's got nothing to really give. The blink forward. You can time walk into the Fade Bolt, reduce that damage, but Universe, now the cheese gets triggered, Sumail's back into the fight. The Dream Call will control him. TNC will push in the envelope, but right now, EG are delivering the death letter to their families. TNC, they've lost 2 lanes of Rags, and the 3rd will be pending in a couple of minutes when EG's ready to push once more.
That's how fast the game can almost end when you get the right kill at the right time. EG with that kill on Queen was so big because it's not just that they're killing a key core, but it's that they know for sure that she doesn't have buyback based on when she bought back for the Roshan fight. They still have the Aegis. If Queen buys back in that Rosh fight right before they claim the Aegis, you know for sure that I still have Aegis, so there's no way she has buyback. Unless you've timed it perfectly, then you obviously know exactly what's going on.
Chrono! Universe, he got him! The Torrent from Zai, they knew exactly where Raven was. Just trying to relieve a little bit of the pressure by pushing out mid, and then the spin TP. Normally, you're pretty good as a Juggernaut to get out of that one, but TNC, they realize it's over. GG, they've lost their Juggernaut. They still have no Queen of Pain. And Evil Geniuses, thank you, Sumail, for deleting all of your items and probably destroying everyone's fantasy points.
Does that matter? I don't think it matters.
I actually don't know. Either way, Evil Geniuses, a solid victory, even though TNC definitely showed their early game prowess. Words, pro and west.
Yeah, it just got to this point where it got too difficult. TNC played their strength early on, as you mentioned, but the coordination and team fight of EG's lineup just became too difficult to fight into. And when they found those couple of key moments that gave them the Roshans and just a couple of good team fights, I feel like TNC's lineup just ends up being too weak, and they played against the clock and they lost.
Well, we'll have ourselves a quick break. We're coming back. There's so much more Dota still going on. So game 2 of this 2-game series, TNC versus Evil Geniuses, our first series of the TI group stage here on Stream 1. We'll be back after the break.